Good afternoon. I apologize for the slight delay. Welcome to the March 11th, 2025 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. Would you please call the roll?
Shante Hall. Richard Eslick. Here. Corey Cornegay.
Here.
Melissa Venable.
Present.
Fred Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Well, first, sorry, let me get my act together here. Are there any corrections to the previous BZA minutes? We only had one agenda item last month. And any corrections? If not, can I get by a voice vote? All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Our first agenda item this afternoon is BZA 31-2024 at 268 Holiday Street by Kenneth C. Alexander. Would you please read the caption?
Before the Board of Zoning Appeals today is BZA 31-2024. The applicant, Kenneth C. Alexander of 268 Holiday LLC, is requesting a variance to reduce the required side yard adjacent to a street setback from 25 feet to 12.7 feet, and to increase the maximum impervious surface ratio from 40% to 66.68% for an addition. The property is identified as tax map 34G19, parentheses A, asterisk 49A, located at 268 Holiday Street, zoning classification residential medium density RM. When you act on this request, you will be acting on a request to reduce the required setback adjacent to a street from 25 feet to 12.7 feet, and to increase the maximum impervious surface ratio from 40% to 66.68% for the construction of an addition. Should the board decide in favor of approving this request, the 8 findings as listed in your package must be articulated as part of the motion. We will now have the staff analysis and recommendation by William Mellon, Zoning Administrator.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Bill Mellon, Zoning Administrator. This is the general location map in our central growth area for 268 Holiday. This is our zoning and land use map. It shows the adjacent zoning. To the north, we have office industrial. To the east, we have M2, which is heavy industrial. To the east and south, we have residential medium. And then also, and the 268 Holiday is also residential medium. Here is the site plan that shows the addition coming off 12.7 from Finney Street. And this is what the proposal will look like. Oop. We also have the floor plan if needed, showing the addition and the rest of the first floor. Okay. As previously noted, the applicant Kenneth C. Alexander of 268 Holiday LLC is requesting a variance from the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 4, Section 31-407C, Table 407-1, dimensional standards, E and J, to reduce the minimum required side yard setback adjacent to a street from the 25 to 12.7 feet, and also to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 40% to 66.68%. Property is identified as tax map and parcel 34G 19, parentheses A, star 49A, located at 268 Holiday Street, Whaleyville, voting borough, zoning classification RM, residential medium. This variance was advertised in the Suffolk News Herald, and a notice was mailed to adjacent property owners in accordance with Section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia. The public notice sign was posted on the property pursuant to the request of the zoning administrator. The applicant obtained this property, a former DMV office, in good faith from the Commonwealth of Virginia in June of 2017. The building was built in 1973 per city records. After obtaining all permits and starting operations for a funeral home, it was determined a larger kitchen and serving area was required. A 640 square foot addition is proposed to be 12.7 feet from the property line adjacent to Finney Street. The funeral home itself, the operation building and the parking is located on two separate lots. This lot, 34G19, parentheses A, star 49A, contains the building, while the majority of the parking lot is on the adjacent lot, 34G19, parentheses A, star 49. This lot, 49A, is 10,441 square feet in size. This 18 by 35.67 addition will increase the lot's impervious surface area ratio from 62.58 to 66.68%. The current RM maximum impervious surface ratio is 40%. This project is currently being reviewed by various city agencies, including Fire, Public Utilities, and Public Works, as part of the site plan waiver process for projects under 2,500 square feet total land disturbance. No concerns have been raised so far. A 12.7 setback from Finney Street property line would not be out of place since the block across Finney Street is zoned OI, Office Industrial, which requires a 10-foot setback from this Finney Street property line. If placed on any of the interior sides and meeting the current setbacks, the addition would impact the required parking. No additional parking is required by the UDO, since no additional seating will be added in the main sanctuary. The current maximum impervious surface ratio for the RM district of 40% is more geared towards residential uses. The business district with the smallest lot size of 5,000 square feet, the B1 neighborhood commercial district, has a maximum impervious surface ratio of 70%. Since this property has been legally commercially used since 1973, a similar maximum impervious surface ratio of 70% may be more appropriate for the property. Based on these considerations and its existing non-conforming building, impervious surface ratio is already over the maximum impervious surface ratio, staff recommends approval of this request as proposed. And I'll stand by for any questions.
I have a couple questions, William, just more out of curiosity and conformity. Why wouldn't we look at just rezoning the site to either OI or B1?
Well, they did talk to staff in pre-submittals, and the only relief necessary would be a 12-foot setback, 12.75 from Finney Street, and also the increase in the maximum surface ratio. But I'm not aware.
But it doesn't, I mean, it's not an RM use, unless I'm mistaken.
It's an RM use with a conditional use permit.
Oh, okay, okay. That's helpful, thank you.
Yes.
And then as they move forward through the site plan process, will that center property line be abandoned, so it's just one parcel, or will they continue to keep two parcels?
I have not heard from the applicant or their design professional that they're interested in removing the
But
middle.
we'll ask in just a second, sir. Okay, does anybody else have questions for William?
No, because what you just asked, because across the street from it, office space across the street is apartments.
the north of Fenney Street.
Can you pull up the map that shows the different uses? There we go.
See right here? There's that. It ain't offices, they apartments.
Right.
So even if he would've went through the same way to try to get that rezoned, there's like a lot of places that's out here that's zoned for one thing and they being used for something different.
I'm sure there's reasons why, but anyway.
Well, the site seems to be appropriate for their use, except for the small, they want to do a 642 square foot addition.
Sure. Does it have a conditional use permit?
It does.
Okay, okay. Just want to verify and make sure that's stated. Thank you so much. I appreciate your
Thank you.
information. We'll now open up our public hearing. Public hearings are 30 minutes in length, 10 minutes for proponents, 15 minutes for opposition, and 5 minutes for rebuttal. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application?
Good afternoon, Hollis Ellis, CAE, Inc.,
And your address?
321 Office Square Lane, Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Thank you, Hollis.
Right, yes, here in support of the project. Mr. Mellons did an excellent job in outlining the scope of the project and what we're trying to seek here. One of the questions, as the board asked, was the center property line going to be vacated? Yes, and that can be vacated if that is the request of the board or it's necessary. And that fact as well, he actually owns all of the property around it. So if we need to adjust the property lines so fit in order to reduce the impervious cover, we can do that as well if the board will see fit to seek relief for the property line setback. Okay.
So we'll ask questions once the
Okay.
public hearing is over.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ellis. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Afternoon, sir. If you would state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Wendell Green. My firm, WTG Design Architects, did the addition. My address is 860 Greenbrier Circle, Chesapeake, Virginia. And I'm here to share with you, we're here in support of this project. I guess you could say, the project has been successful to the point where we really need a little bit more space for what we call repass. So the client wanted to see if he could definitely be able to put more people in that repass area for their convenience. That's why we're here. So it's just ironic that we had that encroachment situation, so we're here to hopefully be approved. And
Terrific.
I'm
Thank
here
you.
for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? If there is no one here to speak in opposition, is there anything else either gentleman would like to add? No? Okay, that'll close this public hearing. Do we have any questions, comments, or motion?
Motion for approval.
We have a motion for approval.
Second, motion
we
for
have-
approval.
A second by Mr. Walker, a motion by Mr. Carnegie, and a second by Walker. Is there any discussion of the motion? Would you please call for a vote?
Richard Eslick,
Yes.
Corey Cornegay,
Yes.
Melissa Venable,
Yes.
Fred Walker.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, William, for the explanation. Thank you both for coming this afternoon. Wishing you very much luck on the project.
Thank you.
Our second item this afternoon is BZA 33-204 at 401 Market Street, Big Guys Mini Mart LLC. If you would please read the caption.
Before the Board of Zoning Appeals today is BZA 33-2024. The applicant, Big Guys Mini Mart LLC, is requesting a variance to reduce the required side yard setback adjacent to a street from 10 feet to 8 inches, reduce the required side yard setback from 10 feet to 8 inches, reduce the required parking from 6 spaces to 0, and to increase the floor area ratio from 56% to 76% for the addition of a commercial kitchen on an existing establishment. The property is identified as tax map 34G17, parentheses A, star 146, addressed as 401 Market Street. Zoning classification, Neighborhood Commercial District B1. When you act on this request, you will be acting on a request to reduce the required side yard setback adjacent to a street from 10 feet to 8 inches, reduce the required side yard from 10 feet to 8 inches, reduce the parking from 6 required spaces to 0, and to increase the floor area ratio from 56% to 76% for the addition of a commercial kitchen area on an existing establishment. Should the board decide in favor of approving this request, the 8 findings as listed in your package must be articulated as part of the motion. We will now have the staff analysis and recommendation by Melvion Knight, Assistant Zoning Administrator.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Chairman of the Board, board members, Secretary of the Board, faculty, staff, and guests. My name is Ms. Knight, Melvion Fulgham Knight, and I will be presenting staff report application BZA 33-2024 for Big Guys Mini Mart LLC. The applicant, Big Guys Mini Mart LLC, is requesting a variance request from the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 4, Section 31-407, parentheses C, Table 407, Dimensional Standards, parentheses D, J, and L, and Article 6, Section 31-606, parentheses A, parentheses 7, Table 606-2, off-street parking requirements to reduce the required side yard setback adjacent to a street from 10 feet to 8 inches, to reduce the required side yard from 10 feet to 8 inches, to reduce the required parking from 6 required spaces to 0, and to increase the floor area ratio from 56% to 76% for the addition of a commercial kitchen area to an existing establishment. The property is identified as tax map and parcel 34G17, parentheses A, asterisk 146, and is located at 401 Market Street, Suffolk, Virginia, Suffolk voting borough, zoning classification B1, neighborhood commercial. This variance request was advertised in the Suffolk News Herald, and a notice was mailed to adjacent property owners in accordance with Section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia. A public notice sign was posted on the property pursuant to the request of the zoning administrator. The illustration here shows the sign posted there on a corner lot, so it's all posted on Market Street as well as on Pine Street. The applicant, Big Guy Mini Mart LLC, states that the lot was acquired in good faith, and the current property owner or applicant of the space did not create the hardship sought for the relief in this application. The development of 401 Market Street predates the adoption of the city's Unified Development Ordinance. According to historical data, this location has maintained the use as a convenience store to the residents of the downtown area. The applicant submitted this request to modify a portion of the rear of the building to expand the use of the convenience store to incorporate a full kitchen to serve takeout dining options to their patrons. So what I'm going to do with this presentation, I'm going to break it down because there are a series of items that we're going to discuss just to make sure that everyone fully understands the flow of the application request. Okay, so the proposed 24 by 28 kitchen, excuse me, I'm sorry. The proposed 24 by 28 kitchen has to follow the B1 guidelines. And so according to our dimensional standards 401 dash 1, for the B1, it calls out that the side yard adjacent to the street, which is considered a front, has a 10-foot side yard setback. So that way the portion that is along Pine Street. The interior lot has a side yard setback of 10 feet. So with the addition of this building, the survey that we have provided for the illustration shows that the existing structure also encroaches into that side yard setback of 10 feet. So with the modification request, it would not only bring the addition of the 24 by 28 into compliance, it will also, it would not only bring the existing building into compliance, it will also make the addition in compliance as well. So with the agreement of the city to accept those findings, it would bring the entire lot into compliance with the reduction of that setback. And also, please note that the request for the 8 inches supersedes the allowance of 30% by the zoning administrator. Therefore, it resulted in the item being brought to the board for your recommendation for the application request. This illustration here is just a diagram that's showing the right side elevation with the addition of the 24 by 80 foot building. And then this is a view of the actual parcel where you can see that on the interior lot line how close the actual structure is to the property line. And then this is a portion of the building that is adjacent to Pine Street. As you can see that the structure is right up against the city sidewalk. So if we were to consider that reduction, it would bring this portion of the building into compliance as well. And then this is a rear shot of the building to the north, coming up north towards Pine Street, showing the existing conditions of the rear yard area for the proposal. Okay, so we're gonna move forward. We're talking about the finished floor area. The B1 requirements requires that the floor ratio area be set at 50%. According to the chart, they have it at 0.5. According to, again, the history of the property, this diagram shows that the existing finished floor or floor area comes in at 58%. With the addition of the 24 by 28 construction, is going to increase the finished floor area, or the floor area ratio, sorry, my apologies, an additional 18%. So the existing is shown here in the arrow that's pointed in green. How our ordinance, how we calculate the finished floor area or the floor area ratio, we look at the actual total gross area of the actual building, which is shown in red, and we divide that by the total lot area shown in green. And with the calculations of both of those items together, you come up with the area that's shown highlighted here in yellow, which is the 76%. So according to the information that was provided by the applicant, the gross floor area comes in at 1,815 square feet. We divided that number by 2,379.5, and it calculated out to 76%. And according to records, it continues to state that the nonconformity did exist prior to the submission of this application, going back to the dimensional standards requiring 50%. The existing floor area ratio was coming in at 58% on the current structure by itself. And then again, this is just another overview of the building showing the addition. Lastly, we're going to talk about parking. According to section 31-606, parentheses A, parentheses 7, table 606, off-street parking requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance, the convenience store shall produce 6 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area. The parking requirements provided by the applicant was based solely on the gross floor area of the addition of the proposed kitchen. The pre-existing conditions of the convenience store does not provide adequate parking spaces to support the on-site parking. The location of the store is along Market Street in Pine, which promotes parking along the city's public streets and pedestrian walkways, which are in close proximity to the store. Furthermore, after review of the request for the application and the pre-existing nonconformities in the setback, parking, and the finished floor area ratio, we, the staff, have considered this property as a nonconforming use, and therefore we recommend approval of this request due to the existing nonconformities. I'm available for any questions the board may have, and
Excellent
I think
questions.
the applicant is here for questions as well.
My first question is, you said that they calculated the parking based on just the addition alone. What's the total parking that's required for the use?
It'll be 6 spaces per 1,000 spaces. So in
About
that, the
12.
same,
So about 12 parking spaces are required. Because it's about 1,800 square feet is what I think I just saw. Yeah.
well, then it will actually be 18, because we're gonna round up, because we don't do portions thereof. So with it being 18, we would have required 3 times 3. Because if it's 6
It's 6 per 1,000?
per 1,000, I'm
It's-
sorry, correction, it should be 12, you are correct. My apologies.
Maybe even 11. But, so where, I understand that there's some public parking on Market Street. But I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have we indicated where those 12 spaces would be? 'Cause I'm not seeing-
The 12 spaces would be 3 spaces across the street along the, that's gonna be to the north.
On Pine Street, yeah.
On Pine Street, and then they have a parking space that's in front of the building, and then there's one that's on the other side along Market to the east, and then they have several that are to the west. In addition to that, there are open parking spaces that are along North Saratoga Street, where they have open parking, and then we also have the open parking here in front of the municipal building. There's parking available there, as well as additional on-street parking along Market.
Okay, and I'll ask them further about kind of delivery and pickup, all that kind of stuff. But that's helpful. But 12 spaces are actually, or 11,
You are correct as well.
are what's actually required. Are there any other questions? I think parking was my biggest. Okay, that's helpful to know. So would they, like on a new application, they would have to have like some kind of agreement, but I guess because it's public parking, you don't need an agreement that's open for the market to use?
Correct.
Okay.
And during the review of the application, I did notice that there was a church that was in the area that was behind the building. So if they were to, say, utilize that space as, with an agreement as far as parking spaces, because the church has adequate parking for their patrons or their clergy, what have you. So if they had a parking agreement with the actual church, that would be another option as well. However, with this area of Suffolk being like pedestrian friendly and marketing, foot traffic, they would have the pedestrian traffic available for persons who parked off site.
I'm glad you brought that up and kind of off topic. This is probably for a different time, but I'll ask anyway. Because this is downtown and we want to promote business, is there any type of reduction obviously through this process, there's a reduction.
Yes, that
But-
would be underneath the exception requirements underneath the parking code. The zoning administrator has an allowance to reduce the parking by 10%, and in that they were coming in at 0, it exceeded the allowance of the administrator.
Okay. Okay. I had one last question. At the rear of the site, because when I drove past the site this afternoon, I paused to kind of look at the front and the sides, but at the rear of the site, it looks like there's a wooded area behind the site, so this would go all the way to that wooded area? Is that,
That's what it appears. Let's see. Let me go back here. Yes, the parking boundary would go right up to the wooded area.
and that's to the parcel line? I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing this graphic at the size.
All right, so yes, it's gonna go right up to that parking line. So the distance from the actual proposed structure to the property line is gonna be 28 feet, 0.6 inches.
they're taking down that portion of it from the existing structure all the way to the property line. So the proposed structure is actually bigger than 28 feet.
Well, they're gonna be taking down this, let me see. They're gonna be taking down the existing covered porch area.
Right.
And they're gonna expand it out an additional 24 feet beyond the existing covered porch area in the rear.
Does that have a dimension on it? Yeah. Yeah, I got that. I just was wondering, they're going to be up against their property line, which doesn't give them any kind of rear yard setback to
No, it
whoever's.
wouldn't be right up against the property line.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yes,
From
it
that
wouldn't.
graphic, I'm having a hard time telling what's the rear yard setback to the next person's property.
The rear yard setback for, this property would be, is it 20?
For the B1? Would be 20.
That's not shown, can't, it's hard to see that on the graphic that was provided.
20,
So they are going to continue to provide the 20-foot rear yard setback?
yes.
Okay. I didn't get that from this graphic, so that's helpful to know. Very helpful to know. Doesn't show that, does it?
No, but that could be parking too.
No. To drive. Got to be able to. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you answering all my questions. Were there any other questions before Melvion sits down? Okay, thank you. We'll now open our public hearing. I better read my directions. Hearings are 30 minutes in length, 10 minutes for proponents, 15 minutes for opposition, and 5 minutes for rebuttal. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Please come up. Please state your name and address.
My name is Harry Arrington. I live at 718 Kilby Avenue, right here in the city of Suffolk. Been in Suffolk all my life. So, but I support what he's trying to do. It's going to bring, I feel like it's going to bring, you know, more people to the area. It's good food. Food is that other people don't have. You know, Suffolk has a lot of people, not a lot of good restaurants. So, and I feel that, you know, with the menu that's proposed, I think it's going to be a big thing for what they're trying to do.
Terrific.
So I definitely support it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the application?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is James Hall. My firm, Bondurant Associates, we are located at 444 Crawford Street in Portsmouth. We are assisting the owners of the property with this proposed expansion. Just to kind of clarify a couple of things, the whole expansion right now, after the existing building is removed, will be 24 feet deep. So that is from the existing larger part of the building that will remain to the backside of the expansion, 24 feet.
So that extension that you see, that's at like 1.5 stories, that's 24 feet from the 2-story building out.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
And the property line, the required setback is 20 feet from the rear of the proposed expansion to the existing property line will be 28 feet, 6 inches.
Okay.
So we do maintain that. As was stated before, I don't think we're creating it, the hardship was not created by our client. We are trying to maintain and not making the nonconformity, I think, any worse than it currently is. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Good afternoon. Your name and address?
Jamie and Elisa Moses. We are the owners of Big Guys Mini Mart, 401 Market Street, Suffolk, Virginia. We opened the store back in October 30th, 2021. the whole reason of us coming is because we had always wanted to have a convenience store in an area, in a neighborhood like this, that we can open up a store and help other people. And the one thing that we see that we are lacking is a kitchen to serve food to everyone. And of course, every day somebody comes in and asks us when we're going to serve hot food. So that is something that we like to do. I would also like to point out again that it is not a sit-down area. It is just a takeout. So it's not going to be not really a need for additional parking. It's just going to be coming in just like when you come and get your chips and your drink, then now you can get food with it as well. Take it and leave. And then I'd also like to say that, we're right down the street from you guys, so once approved, you can come in and get some food too. But that's it. Thank you very much for considering this, and we would greatly appreciate it if you could approve this application.
That was very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this application? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
My name is
William, will
Hugh
you adjust
Cross.
the mic, please?
My name is Hugh Cross. I own 405 and 407 Market Street. I have been having problems with the mini mart and the traffic that goes in and out of it. They block my driveway. At one time, the owners told me that there was it was a shared driveway, which it's not. I bought the property from Bo Holland in 2006, and when I bought it, there wasn't even a driveway there. I had cut the trees down in the back and put the driveway in. And Mr. Lawrence, who I knew, he brought this stuff into the store through the back door. The problem I'm having is the side yard, especially on the driveway of my side. The side yards are there for a reason. And I'm concerned about the problem I'm going to have with the people coming on my property and maybe causing damage or causing it so that I cannot use my own property going in and out of my driveway. I've had that problem. Sometimes the clients at the store will park in the driveway, even though it says no parking private driveway, and that'll keep me from either getting in or getting out. I've had problems with deliveries there too, but I worked that out with all the delivery people by just calling them and telling them what's going on. I'm concerned about the traffic there. The representative from the zoning department said there was a parking place in front of the building. It's not. It's a no parking zone in front of the building. The only parking place there is in front of 407 Market Street. And there is public parking there. There's plenty of room, but if the code requires them to have, if I remember correctly, 18 places, it's going to be tough to find 18 spaces there on the street. Plus, the fire department is right across the street from it. I'm concerned about the traffic there and what it might cause to the area. But I'm against it because it doesn't have the side yard. And I think there's a reason for you having a side yard on it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition? Do we have, give him a chance. The proponents have an opportunity to come back up and answer any questions. So if you folks want to come back up with any additional information, and then, sir, we'll have you come up after we close the public hearing for some questions.
Good evening again. From day one, this guy has been on our butt from day one about nothing.
But I will say, because he said it was not a shared driveway, we did have a survey done. It is not a shared driveway like he said, so we have not been parking there. We have not been using the driveway. When customers have come up and parked there, we have told them the same. However, people that park there in the driveway are not always there for us.
Those are his houses.
That is his house that he rents out to tenants beside him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that come up and park in the driveway are for the tenants,
They're for
not
Ms.
for
Robin.
us. But if they should, well, we know the tenants very well because they are
They
also.
always shop with us. I mean,
What do you call them when they come and shop with you? Not clients, but they come there and shop all the time. They come there and they shop every day. So we know them well. They come and see them, and sometimes some of their company that's parked in the driveway or parked in the parking spots behind the building that are there to see them will come over and purchase from us too. So I can't tell somebody that's visiting that building that they can't park there because that's what the parking is there for the tenants
His
of that
tenants.
building. His
Once
tenants
again, his
for
tenants.
that building. And people come to see his tenants and come and shop at our store. I can't stop that, nor would I. A lot of people that come there are pedestrians. They are foot traffic. I can't help how they walk to the building, but I can assure you that somebody walking down his driveway to get into the building is not going to stop him from driving in and out. He's only there Monday through Friday from the times of approximately 8:30 to 4:30. And I can also tell you that there are times that we have been in our backyard and he comes out and starts
block us.
recording us.
And he block
or
our
else he
driveway.
blocks us.
hey,
Because there is a way to get in behind the building, and the customers, the tenants behind the building
tell them
have
that
no
about that
problem
driveway?
telling us that we can park there. They have no
them that?
problem with us doing that.
Okay.
And we have asked.
and for as traffic concerned, it's a convenience store.
So people
There's gonna be
come
traffic.
as
You
far
can
as the.
address us, sir,
Yeah.
so we don't have any.
I'm sorry.
Yes, they-
But yeah, for the traffic concern, it's a convenience store, so I'm hoping more traffic comes.
And there is a public parking space also, not just in front of 407, but also in front of 405, which is right next door, that people park there all the time as well. When we receive deliveries, mainly our beer trucks, they are across the street. You don't have it up, but they're across the street where, right there. So where we are, where the opening of our building is, if our building's here, Pine Street's here, the rest of Market Street's here, they park that way along Market Street, either across the street that way or across the street this way, and they bring their dollies over.
On the same side as the fire station?
Correct.
Okay.
However, having this addition built, we'll put a door on the side of Pine Street for deliveries to then come that way on
Okay.
Pine Street, so it will not block anything or even be on Market Street at all. They'll be on Pine Street and only be on Market Street when they're coming in or when they leave.
Okay, terrific.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, I didn't know. if you
I
had any
think we
questions.
probably will have some questions, but we're going to close the public hearing, ask for questions, and then we'll vote after that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Is there any, I think we're about 1 minute left, or if there's anything additional for any proponents? Seeing none, that will close the public hearing. Do we have questions or comments?
I've got a question about it. On the side where the driveway is, on the inside, with the addition, will there be an access door that would lead to that area, the adjacent property that Mr. Cross owns?
I think for the architect, this is probably a question for,
Currently, there is no access on that side of the building.
Okay.
There'll be no access to that side. And I think it's important to point out that currently today, there is no, the area we're talking about, the shared property boundary, there is no current setback other than the 0.8 feet, or 8 inches. It's currently non-conforming, there's currently, so this is just a continuance of that non-conformity along that property boundary. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Anyone else? Is it Mr. Hall? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Mr. Cross?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have, would you mind coming back up so I can ask you a couple questions? So that property adjacent, I don't have the zoning, that property that's adjacent, is that a rental property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there's I mean, we've all seen the drive aisle there. It's clearly on your property. It sounds like it's marked for no parking, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Downtown situations are always going to have some of these types of situations where people are going to park where they're not supposed to because they're trying to run in and out. It sounds like that's not going to change today versus having an additional kitchen on the site. And I think from other folks that have retail space downtown and that are really familiar with downtown, there is, it sounds like, ample parking in the vicinity. So I think as long as we're careful about making sure our customers know they can't park in that, it's clearly marked. I don't know that the addition or these variances make any modification or change to the current complexity or issue where sometimes people park in that space, regardless of who it is that's parking there. Are there, besides the parking, and like you said, it's a rental unit, is it just one unit?
There are 2 units there.
Okay, and where do those folks park? Do they have parking on site?
They don't, neither one of them have cars.
Oh, okay. So it sounds
But
like
they
they'd
would
use the
park
market.
on the street if they had cars.
Say it one more time.
They would park on the street if they had cars.
Okay, sorry for, that was my
'Cause
fault, I
don't-
interrupted.
The parking lot I put in was for my business, and we opened from 8 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoons.
And is that also on that property adjacent to the market?
Yes, ma'am. I own 405 and 407, and 407 is where my office is.
Okay, and then how many parking spaces do you have on site for that business?
Probably 4, 3, no, 3.
You have 3 spaces on site for your business? Okay,
Yes,
so you have designated parking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Cross?
Only thing I have is like, if you saying, zone B1, commercial. So, I mean, how are you renting out a commercial?
Well, B1, you can have mixed, you can have,
But if it's both of them is residential in both of them, you can't have, well, we could talk about that another time.
right. We'll stick to we have 3 variances with this application. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Cross while he's up at the podium?
No.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate
Aye.
it. So we have 3 variances. It sounds like from what's been pointed out, we have a downtown area, we have a thriving market, which is exciting, that we have a retail opportunity that wants to expand in downtown, which is what we are all looking for, and that is the goal. So I commend you, and I am thrilled to see this continue and to prosper. I would ask, as a good neighbor, that you continue to make sure that your visitors don't park on private property that's adjacent to you. I would also ask, as we move forward, that maybe we can come up with an agreement with the adjacent church property for shared parking, if they have the availability to allow you to park Monday through Friday, or whenever they're not in use. I think that would be helpful, especially if you can designate folks that on a rainy day or whatever, that they could park in that location. With that said, like I said, I think growing pains are growing pains. and having different uses adjacent to each other, which is what we've gotten away from in current years, is what we're trying to get back to. So retail next to multifamily, next to businesses is awesome because it provides walkability to downtown. So I'd love to continue to see that promoted. And I think with that said, I would ask for a motion.
I motion for approval.
We have a motion for approval.
I will second. Motion
And we
for
have a
approval.
second for that motion, and that's for the 3 variances based upon the hardship criteria, a variance for the FAR, a variance for the setback to be in conformity with the current setbacks, and the third is a variance on parking with the idea that there's quite a bit of parking on-street, public parking nearby this use. Would you please call for a vote?
Richard Eslick,
Yes.
Corey Cornegay,
Yes.
Melissa Venable,
Yes?
Fred Walker.
Yes.
Great.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, folks. We wish you lots of luck, and we can't wait to come by and pick up whatever you are cooking on a Tuesday afternoon. Good luck to you. Thank you so much. I believe that's the last item today. Do we have anything in addition? That will close today's public hearing. Do we have a hearing next week or next month? We do. Of course we do. 4 next. Yes. All right. Thank you all.